Welcome to the motherfucking relay. We're covering today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. It appears that the rumors checked out. The rumors I addressed here on the channel of a potential Yemi Mercado versus Ramla Ali fight on the undercard of Gallo versus Bam.
They held the kickoff press conference yesterday. Ramla was there, but I didn't see Yemi.
Ramla, who said it's not going to be easy, but I want to fight the best. Context is key. Yemi Mercado may be the youngest reigning world champion at Super Bantamweight, but she's also reigned the longest. She's been WBC Super Bantamweight champion since November of 2019. Ramla means to change that.
End that reign.
Can she do it? Sporting a professional record of 9 wins with 1 loss, no draws, 2 knockouts, having been knocked out once in 10 professional contests, she has a lot less fights than Yemi Mercado, less rounds in the bank. So what's her strategy? What's her edge and her avenue to become WBC champion herself?
Her amateur background.
Keeping it a boxing match, returning to her amateur roots, points fighting would have to be her best bet. I think Manny Robles has done a fantastic job of helping this standout amateur, transition from an amateur style to a more pro style. Ramla is really rounding out as a fighter, though for this assignment,
She needs to go in her amateur bag.
against Yemi Mercado. Yemi Mercado, who sports a professional record of 23 wins with 3 losses, no draws, 5 knockouts, having never been knocked out in 26 professional contests. And that's saying a lot because she's fought some hard punchers, some really hard punchers. She went up there to 126, went the distance with Amanda Serrano.
All 10 rounds.
She lost, but she went all 10 rounds. She didn't get stopped. She didn't get knocked out years ago. She fought Alejandra Guzman. The same Alejandra Guzman that knocked out Ramla Ali. Yeah, Yemi fought her years ago. Won a points decision. Fought solid fighters like Kurkwashe Chiwandire and Angelica Rascone. Seasoned fighters, former champions like Mariana Juarez.
Fatuma Zarika 2 times.
That in terms of resume and body of work, it's not even a contest. It's not even a question which one of these 2 fighters has the better resume. Yemi has the better resume and far more experience by and large. So how can Ramla Ali hope to beat her?
Keep it a boxing match.
Stick and move, stay on your toes behind the straight punches. Don't get into exchanges. Don't trade with her mid-range to inside unless you have no choice and you have to fight her off. Even though Ramla Ali is some years older than Yemi Mercado, she still seems faster, quicker to the draw, faster feet with faster hands, a long and limber super bantamweight.
She has to use that.
Those long levers, those long extremities to her advantage. Yemi is a comparatively more portly super bantamweight with slower feet.
Stay on the outside and you'll draw her out. Make her come to you so you can walk her into punches.
Ramla has to be careful with how many punches she lands and how much success she has. She doesn't want to get ahead of herself and get overzealous thinking she can hurt Yemi Mercado. She can't.
Amanda Serrano didn't knock her out. You won't knock her out. Julissa Guzman couldn't knock her out.
But she knocked you out. Don't overcommit to your shots and put together more punches than you need to. Just because you can land, say, a 3 or 4 punch combination doesn't mean you should.
Be economic.
Be careful, mindful of the lessons that she learned from the first Julissa Guzman fight.
There's a common opponent between them.
If Ramla Ali unseats Yemi Mercado for the WBC title, it's not like things get easy after that. She'll be a champion among 2 other champions at this weight. The winner of Erica Cruz versus Nazarena Romero this weekend, whoever it turns out to be, as well as unified champion Ali Scotney. Very stiff competition in what is a very deep division for Ramla Ali if she wins.
Some divisions it's easier to become an undisputed champion, and some divisions more so than others. This is one of the more difficult divisions, one of the deeper weight classes.
Ramla Ali, if she does win that WBC title, her problems are just beginning.
There's a target on her back.
The other 2 champions, they're gonna come after her. They're gonna target her. Hope she's ready, and we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. For now, they've got to finalize this Mercado fight, and then Ramla Ali has got to win that fight. I think she can.
We'll see.
Men's super lightweight news. News broke yesterday that Kenny Sims, super lightweight contender Kenny Sims, has just inked a deal with Goldenboy Promotions. We know some weeks ago there was a story that Kenny Sims amicably left the PBC. And apparently he's left the PBC for Goldenboy.
Amicably meaning, Kenny didn't leave the PBC on bad terms, but he just decided it's time to go. The question is, why would he do that?
If the Amazon deal were as good as people made it out to be late last year when that story broke, why would Kenny Sims now be leaving only 2 fights into that deal? The PBC on Amazon have done 2 shows, only 2 so far, 5 months into this year.
Why'd Kenny leave?
For those insights, I will turn you over to boxing insider Rick Glacier, who stated weeks ago, before this story first broke, they're raiding the PBC. Both Oscar De La Hoya and Eddie Hearn have announcements forthcoming in regards to both respectively signing PBC fighters. Another 2 fighters are gone from the PBC, now totaling 19 in recent months. Heyman definitely needs fresh money and fast. Maybe Turki Al-Sheikh will be the provider of that fresh money that Heyman is in desperate need of.
This is from last month. This is from April.
And I've noticed over time that as Rick Glacier's insights from the inside of the boxing world have grown in popularity, there's a small rabble of individuals who actually take offense to his insights, even when they're accurate, even when it's true.
When the rumors check out.
It's not a secret that Rick Glacier is among many others who's hypercritical of the PBC, and oftentimes his insights don't paint a very flattering picture of Al Heyman and the PBC's situation, but in spite of that, what he's saying is either true or false.
It should only really matter if what he's saying is true or not. To these individuals, it doesn't matter if it's true, it doesn't matter if he's right, because they're just upset that he said it.
That old saying, don't shoot the messenger if the messenger is the bearer of bad news. Rick Glacier's critics would like to, because the message is the PBC is in a bad way and it's a sinking ship. That's why so many of their fighters are now jumping ship.
Kenny Sims is the latest.
Rick Glacier said, big difference. Frank Warren and Bob Arum and Eddie Hearn doing business with Turki Al-Sheikh and PBC doing business with Turki Al-Sheikh is that Warren, Arum, and Hearn are supplementing their revenue streams, where in fact the PBC is getting thrown a lifeline.
Isn't that what I've been telling you this whole time?
From His Excellency to keep it afloat and stay in business. And that is a big difference. The difference is that Bob Arum, Eddie Hearn,
They have annual budgets.
so does Oscar De La Hoya, so does Goldenboy Promotions, that in the absence of a Turki Al-Sheikh to come in and supplement the effort, make these huge fights, these huge shows, they have money to do their own shows, even without him. Whereas the PBC, they have little more than just a distribution deal with Amazon.
And that's not the same thing.
So just to get the record straight, for all of you LDBCers, Haymanites, and Errol-sexuals, a grand total of 17, now 19 fighters have left the PBC since January 1st. Including Terrence Crawford. After Saturday's fight, Canelo's PBC deal is up, and there's 4 other PBC fighters that are presently negotiating with other promoters
4 more?
to leave the PBC. The boxing business is now coming full circle. And full circle is right because you have to go back. Go back to the beginning. Upon the PBC's inception, what they did was funnel a bunch of fighters over from Goldenboy Promotions to form the PBC. All of these years later, now what we're seeing,
They're getting a taste of their own medicine.
the fighters are leaving them in waves, leaving them in droves, and it's because of what I told you. A promotional outfit that isn't getting an annual budget from a broadcaster is tantamount to just a booking agent. That's all you are. You may have active and actionable contracts on some or one of these fighters, but unless you have the money to make fights, all you can do is loan them out, outsource them.
Or release them.
If the PBC is not exhibiting the same longevity that you see in Top Rank or Matchroom that has been around a lot longer than Americans realize, it's because of how it was formed and why it was formed.
How long have they been around?
Circa 10 years? 10 years, just about? Was formed through ill-gotten gains. Backdooring Oscar De La Hoya and Goldenboy Promotions, funneling all those fighters that were fighting under the Goldenboy Promotions banner to now fight under the PBC banner. That's the how.
Ill-gotten gains.
Al Heyman and Richard Schaefer, who had been working with Goldenboy for a long time, they backdoored Oscar, and that's the how. The why?
Spite.
They wanted to form some kind of Wakandian promotional outfit, some kind of Wakandian society that would freeze out Top Rank and freeze out Goldenboy, what was intended to be a fuck you to the more established promotional outfits in the sport. That's what they wanted, but it's not what they got.
What did they get?
They got kicked off of NBC, they got kicked off of Fox, they got kicked off of Showtime.
Now they're at Amazon, but how long is that gonna last? When you've outsourced that many of your fighters to that August show that's happening on DAZN, and so many of your fighters are still leaving, still jumping ship.
Maybe some of those fighters have a future, some more than others, but they have a future. Though does the PBC? Without those fighters?
It's the question.
People get mad at Rick for saying it. They get mad at me for saying it, that this has long been a mismanaged company full of individuals that don't know what the fuck they're doing because of why they're doing it. You thought you could create a bubble, a biosphere, to where you don't have to work with anybody.
That's what they tried to do.
Much to their detriment, because you got a fuck ton of money from Waddle and Reed, and you fucked it all off. You blew it all away.
And even afterwards, you still managed to slug along, inking a deal with Fox and extending your existing deal with Showtime, and even that wasn't enough. Getting an annual budgets from them.
Mongoloids online don't like when I tell that story. I relish every opportunity to tell it.
Because they hurt boxing in America. That's what they did.
There is a correlation between the PBC's rise, if you even want to call it a rise, and the gradual decline of the boxing audience in America. There is a correlation between the two. Though based on recent events, it's seeming more and more like it's only a matter of time before the PBC goes under. Because that deal with Amazon is just a distribution deal.
They're not giving you any money.
You don't seem to have very many, if any, fight dates. So many fighters are leaving. Every other week you're hearing about a guy jumping ship over there, amicably or otherwise. A promotional outfit with no annual budget from a broadcaster is just a booking agent. And to the fighter, that's just the middleman. Somebody going in their pocket without providing any service.
What, you're gonna get a slice of their purse, even though they're fighting on somebody else's show?
I think a lot of fighters are realizing this, and that's a big part of why they're jumping ship. They realize they don't actually need the PBC. If they have in their hand, in your cookie jar, you might as well sign to somebody else.
And that is what's going on.
Men's junior middleweight news. Bob Arum now says he's open to re-signing Terrence Crawford.
There's no animosity there.
Top Rank boss Bob Arum is open to mending fences with Terrence Crawford to re-establish a working relationship.
I never take anything personal. It's a business. If we had the right fighter at the right money and it satisfied Crawford, would we do a Crawford fight? Of course we would. There is no animosity there. In that case, things were said that shouldn't have been said on both parts. Terrence is a great fighter. If we had something that was appealing to him, I believe he would come back to do a fight with us, and we would certainly do a fight with him.
Bob's a smart guy. You don't stay in an industry like this one for over 50 years without having some smarts. Some book smarts and some street smarts. He knows it's a good time. It's a very good time to be in the Terrence Crawford business. But why is that? Why is it that Bob, who said he was losing money on Crawford's fights before, would want to go into business with him now?
Because he wouldn't be the one paying for them.
In a recent interview with ESPN, Crawford emphasized that he was pleased to be appreciated by His Excellency, Mr. Turki Al-Sheikh, who is working behind the scenes also trying to arrange a fight between Terrence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez. There's a lot of respect that comes with Turkey and myself, said Crawford. He's seen the road that I had to get to where I am now, and he just wanted to display respect for the sport of boxing, and not just somebody that's coming to hold these type of fighters down and not let the world see him. It's an honor that he chose me. He could have chosen anybody else, so I'm definitely grateful. Arum, Crawford feuded frequently in the latter stages of their union. They were both frustrated with good reason.
Tell the whole story.
Terrence was frustrated because he was being frozen out by the PBC, and Bob Arum was frustrated because he had to pay Crawford so much money for the fights that he was making for him, but the fights he was making were not yielding a return. He wasn't making any money off of those fights. He was losing money.
Crawford had a contract guarantee in excess of $3 million, over $3 million. So you're paying him over $3 million plus whatever you're paying his opponents. It was very expensive for Arum, and very frustrating for Crawford because all the while, he's not getting the fights that he wants, but they had to work with what they had, which wasn't very much. So the relationship didn't end well. Crawford wound up suing Top Rank for breach of contract and claimed racial bias in January of 2022, 2 years ago. 2 years later, that lawsuit hasn't materialized into much of anything. There are no reports stating that Crawford was awarded any damages as a result of filing suit. Frankly, I don't even think that case is active anymore. But why would Bob Arum want to re-sign a guy who sued him for racial bias? What's really going on here? Well, once again, Bob's a smart guy. So is Bud.
Bud Crawford has parlayed his big win over Errol Spence Jr. into a lucrative relationship with Turki Al-Sheikh. So with Turki bankrolling Terrence's fights now, Bob wouldn't have to pay for them. Bob wouldn't be on the hook.
No.
It's not like it was before. So what Bob's angling for is the content minus the risks. That he'd be willing to do fights with Terrence Crawford on the ESPN platform because he's not the one that would pay for them. Turki Al-Sheikh would pay for them. In turn, Bob's broadcast partner, ESPN, they'd get the content minus the risks.
I know there's been a lot of bipartisanship in the sport right now. Promoters working with other promoters they wouldn't otherwise work with.
Working together to some degree on these very big shows, big fights, very big plans for the future, and it's beautiful. But you can't forget that ESPN and DAZN are still competing platforms that are competing for the same eyes. Arum still has a responsibility to ESPN to provide them with content that brings in views. The same applies to Eddie Hearn and DAZN.
Arum is trying to fulfill that.
When you see that he's saying what he's saying, that he would be willing to re-sign Terrence Crawford, that's why. The question is, does Terrence Crawford actually need him? And the answer is, he doesn't.
No.
If Turki Al-Sheikh is bankrolling your shows, he's your benefactor now. What do you need from Arum?
Does he have a fighter you want to fight? An opponent?
What is Top Rank's stake in today's junior middleweight division? Because if they don't have one, then they don't have anything that Terrence Crawford needs or anything Terrence Crawford wants. The money that he's getting wouldn't be coming from you anyway.
So you'd just be a middleman.
And I don't say this because I'm against them mending fences. They can mend fences, but if what we're talking about is a working relationship, what fight would they work on together? For what reason?
I believe Bob Arum when he says there's no hard feelings.
I actually believe him. But if what you're talking about is going back into business with each other, what fight are you going to make for him? What fight are you going to work on?
Because if you ain't got one, he don't need you.